There are some caveats which have been given. Boris said that the scientists need 4 weeks to assess each stage of the lockdown, with another week to give notice on the next, and there's always a possibility that they may hold it back. All the hope is just centred around the vaccine. The hope is that the vaccine will be effective. We're told it won't be 100% effective. Some say it's up to 90% effective. Appears that there may be new mutant strains which might not work, and also that the disease might spread again, and then we have to clamp down. Some people are refusing to take it, and that leads to a minority who, they say, quote, will not have sufficient protection, and if the disease surges, that could lead to a new lockdown. Now, this is a sort of a delicate matter, because I know there are people here who don't want to take the vaccine, but there are things they're saying that those people could delay, actually, the end result, which will be the coming of the lockdown. So a Tory MP called Bill Wiggin, who said, "Get jabbed and let the rest of us get out." Headline in the paper last week said, "Why should the whole country be held hostage by 1 in 5 who refuse the vaccine?" And we got a pressure on you to take the vaccine in order to push towards the end of the lockdown. There are Christian websites. There's a man called Dr. Wyatt, who is a Christian doctor, says you should take the vaccine as a sign of your love to your neighbour, because you're then helping to stop the spread of the vaccine, stop the spread of the virus, and you're also helping to move towards the end of the lockdown. In fact, he says it's your duty to show love to your neighbour, to get the vaccine, to avoid passing on the virus, and help society on the way to the exit from the lockdown. And Her Majesty's also said the same thing. Basically, if you don't take it, you're being selfish. You've got to take it, and that will help to get us towards the end of the lockdown. On the other hand, I get lots of emails from people, and lots of, particularly from prophecy sites, saying that taking the vaccine is first stage towards the mark of the beast, or even the mark of the beast itself, and it's part of something which is dangerous. It's going to do you harm. Part of a globalist control, actually, for globalist plot for world control, and ultimately for some kind of dictatorship from the Antichrist. Some at the extreme end of the anti-vax movement are saying that it'll lead to your death in a year's time by affecting your body's ability to create antibodies, so you might die of just getting a cold. So we've got some pretty strong things being said. There are answers to those things being said by those like Dr. Wyatt, who are Christians, saying that it's not going to harm you. And there are those who are kind of confused. Where do we stand? What do we do? From a prophetic point of view, it's clear that it's not the mark of the beast. There's a group called Rema Marketing, who I get some of my information from. They put out a statement which actually pretty much agrees with my point of view. So I'll read what they said. There's a lot of debate as to whether the COVID-19 vaccine will be the mark of the beast. We as researchers are human and can be wrong, but our belief is that COVID-19 vaccine is not the mark of the beast, but instead is a birth pang or trial run of how to enforce global and collective unison. Unless someone can prove that the Antichrist, false prophet, and image of the beast are already fulfilling the events of Revelation 13, then we are not there yet. And it's clear that the Antichrist is actually not here at the present time, and we don't have to bow down to an image to give our allegiance to it. We don't have to deny Christ to take the vaccine. Therefore, it's not the mark of the beast. It goes on to say, as for those who resist the vaccine, yes, they will be protected by the Nuremberg Code, insomuch the vaccines cannot literally be forced on an individual, but the social pressures brought about from exclusion, denial of privileges, and possible loss of education, income, and insurance will be enough to erode the will of the majority of resistors. Once everyone has been herded into obtaining digital immunity passports, it will be much easier then to facilitate the ultimate end goal, which is Revelation 13, 16 to 18, where it says, the second beast required all people, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Here is a call for wisdom. Let one who has insight calculate the number of the beast. It is the number of a man. That number is 666. Dreaded 666. Mark of the beast. Now, as I say, from everything which we can see, taking the vaccine is not taking the mark of the beast. But the fact that they're pushing us towards some kind of a situation where everyone should take the vaccine, everyone should then get some kind of a vaccine passport, which will give you immunity, is a little bit sinister, because it is pushing towards a point where you can't enter into society, you can't go to work, perhaps you can't travel on trains and so on, unless you have this kind of certificate. And it kind of lines up with my conclusion, actually. And on the basis of this, it's clear that it's not forbidden to take the vaccine. You may have objections to it. You may see it's on the way to the mark of the beast. You may be concerned about the side effects. You may decide it's better to take it than to get the virus and risk spreading it to others. I have to say that I actually did succumb and take the vaccine myself the other week, basically because I decided, well, I don't want to get the virus, seeing that it is a real illness and it can cause great damage. And also, I just felt that it was the right thing to do. Now, some people might think that's a big compromise, because Tony Pierce has spoken about these things in the past, but I came to that conclusion. My conclusion at the present time is that it's up to people to make their own decision. I'm not going to give a ruling that you must take it or you must not take it. You have to seek the Lord for yourself. I would say definitely it's not taking the mark of the beast, so it is something which you have free will to do. It may hopefully protect you from getting the vaccine, getting the virus. We can't be guaranteed that it will, because of various things. But it is actually quite sinister that there is this thing towards the possibility of some kind of a COVID pass coming down the line. And that, I just want to say a little bit about that. Tony Blair actually wrote an article in the Mail on Sunday last week. I'll quote one or two things he said. He said, "COVID has left us a horrible choice: max vaccination or mass lockdown. With my team at the Institute for Global Change, I've looked at this from every angle and come to this conclusion: there's no prospect of a return to anything like normal without enabling people to show their COVID status, whether that means they have been vaccinated or recently tested. And the good news is that technology allows us to make this work effectively and with privacy. Call it a passport, a certificate, or proof of status, we will want to know. We can't stay in lockdown forever, but we know from experience that as we come out of lockdown, the disease will start to spread again unless we keep some form of controls. My Institute for Global Change is involved with many of them, including the Common Pass initiative from the World Economic Forum." So Blair is telling us here that he's working on some kind of a Common Pass system in conjunction with the World Economic Forum, which is a kind of globalist outfit, which is saying that ultimately we need a global government to sort out all these questions. So that's kind of interesting. Goes on to say we need a system of verification that is simple, for example, a QR code shown on a mobile. What would be crazy is for the world to try operating with different standards, different means of verification, a patchwork, an uncoordinated stack of competing systems. That would lead to chaos. Governments will have to lead in this. The sensible thing would be for the UK, which for 2021 has the lead in the G7 group of developed nations, to agree and help impose a common set of standards and rules in consultation with other countries and groups of nations. That will be in the interests of everyone. We have the technology which allows us to do this securely and effectively. The need is obvious. The world is moving in this direction. We should plan for an agreed passport now. The arguments against it don't add up. Do you follow where that is possibly leading to? You have to have some kind of a agreed passport, agreed by the world, which will then be your entrance into the rest of society. Does that sound a little bit sinister to you? Certainly does to me. And Blair, okay, he's not in power, he's not in government, but he's one of the people who has influence and power. And there are a lot of people around who are saying pretty much the same thing. There's a certain logic also to what he's saying. You have to agree to that. But it's also extremely dangerous. He speaks about having a QR code shown on a mobile. There's one country which already has that. That's China. Communist China, you have a QR code which you put on your mobile and you have to push it to go into a building. If it shows green, you can go in. If it shows red, you can't. And Communist China, of course, has erected the most pervasive security system controlling people's motions, where they buy and sell, what they what opinions they can hold.